Jai Hind dosto. This is Ananya, your master teacher at Vedantu for Social Science. How are you all? I hope you guys are taking very good care of yourself. So, bacho, let's continue with our topic of development and what are we going to do in this particular video, guys. In this video, I'm going to teach you guys about the national development. Now, if you remember in my last video, in my previous video, I explained you about individual developmental goals. Like guys, we have individual goals. Everyone have their own goals. In a similar way, we have a notion related to the national development as well. Okay, for you, national development might be something different. For me, the development of nation is going to be something different. So in this particular video, I'm going to explain you about the national development. I'm going to explain you how the countries are compared. Okay, which countries developed, which countries underdeveloped, which countries developing, how to compare. That is what we are going to deal with. We will be dealing with income and other criteria, the public facilities which are given by the government to the people, and the sustainable developmental goals. So my dear students, all these topics we are going to cover in this particular video. Make sure that you guys are hitting the like button and also subscribe to our channel. It is absolutely free. Alright, and guys, don't forget to share this video with your friends as well. Alright, let's go ahead guys. Let's understand what we saw in the previous session. As I already told you, in the previous session we came to know about different people, different goals. Okay, because people are different, so their developmental goals can be different. Like for example, if someone wants to become an engineer, the other person wants to become a doctor. Are you understanding? This is one simple example I'm giving you. So किसी को engineer बनना है तो किसी को doctor बनना है. Those are like developmental goals. Different people have different developmental goals. On the other hand, guys, sometimes developmental goals can be conflicting also. If you remember in my last video, I gave you the example of a batsman and a bowler. When the batsman in cricket gets out, that is development for a bowler, but it is conflicting. It is exactly opposite to batsman. So development for a bowler is not necessary development for a batsman as well. That is what is the example I gave in my last session. And materialistic and non-materialistic goals. Guys, developmental goals. Guys, it includes some materialistic things and non-materialistic things as well. For example, guys, my specs is a materialistic thing which I need. All right. Like we can take example of 30 rupees wala jhumka of Shilpi ma'am. So that comes under a materialistic thing. But other than this, we need some other things as well to survive. For example, freedom, security, love. I hope you guys are understanding. So that is what we saw guys in the previous session. Make sure that you guys are watching the previous video as well. So let's continue guys. Let's see what are we going to learn in this particular session. Guys, in this particular session, I'm going to teach you guys about the national developmental goals. All right. Now guys, what is national development? A very simple definition is given to you. Let's understand. Yeah. So guys, national development refers to the ability of a nation to improve the lives of its citizens. When the people living in a country and when their lifestyle improves, okay? So when the ability of a nation to improve the lives of the people, that is what is known as national development. It can be in the fields of agriculture, industries, education, health, so on and so forth. So guys, when the standard of living of the people improves, that is known as national development. That is a very simple definition, guys, of national development. Now, guys, the question arises, how to compare different countries or states? Now, guys, if I ask you how you can compare different countries or states, you will say, sir, the most common parameter which is taken into consideration is income. Okay, if the income of the country is more, then that is more developed as compared to the countries whose income is less. Simple. So yes, you guys are absolutely right. This nation's income is taken into consideration while we compare any countries. All right. So guys, what is nation's income? What is national income? Let's understand. Guys, nation's income is calculated by total income of all the people who are earning. Are you understanding? total income of all the people who are earning. Let's take an example. There are five citizens who are earning. So the total will be taken. Let's take an example. All these people are earning. Let's take an example. Citizen A is earning rupees 100. Citizen B is earning rupees 50. So on and so forth. So their amount will be calculated, and that is going to be the national income or nation's income. So what is national income, guys? National income is calculated by total income of all the people who are earning. So this is something very important, who are earning. That comes under nation's income. Now, guys, what do you think? Can you say only comparing countries on the basis of income as a parameter is going to be sufficient? Definitely no. Okay, to further explain you this topic, let me give you one example. All right, let's say there are two students. By the way, I'm very good with drawing. You guys are already aware. Artist to man. So, guys, let's take an example. Okay, let's name this guy as Ananya sir. All right, and then we have one more student. Okay, let's name her. क्या नाम दे इसको? Okay, so let's name her Shilpi ma'am. All right. Now let's take an example. If someone has to be given Student of the Year award. All right. So on what parameters the student will be given, a child will be given awarded Student of the Year award. Now, one of the basic criteria which we are going to consider is marks. Let's suppose I got 95%. Okay. And Shilpi ma'am also got 95%. So guys, in this case, we have got a tie, and Student of the Year award can be given only to one child. Are you guys understanding? Either Ananya sir or Shilpi ma'am. So guys, in a similar way, try to understand. As in this case, we need to consider the other parameters also. In a similar way, whenever we compare countries, income is one such criteria which we consider to compare two different countries. But can you say that income is the only criteria we need to consider or we need to take in consideration? Definitely no. Exactly, guys. So in the case of Ananya sir and Shilpi ma'am, marks was one of the criteria, but it is not the only criteria to award a child with Student of the Year award. So let's come to the main topic, guys. The other parameters which are taken into consideration. Okay. I will talk first of all, I will talk about the income parameter. Okay, once again. Now, guys, look at the definition once again. Total income of all the people who are earning. So the countries whose population is going to be more, the income is going to be more. Naturally, the income is going to be more, and the countries whose population is going to be less, the income is going to be less. So can you say, is it the right criteria to consider the total income of all the people who are earning? Definitely no. So in that case, India is the second largest populated country in the world, and more number of people are working in India. So the national income of India is going to be more. But to avoid this type of problem, we take average income. Guys, average income will give us the right comparison between the two countries. All right. Now, guys, what is average income? Average income is nothing but per capita income. You can see the term as per capita income. Now, guys, what is per capita income? Per person income. एनुअल पर पर्सन इनकम एक साल में एक पर्सन कितना पैसा कमा रहा है दैट इज नोन एज पर कैपिटा इनकम एनुअल पर पर्सन इनकम इज नोन एज per capita income. All right, so how the per capita income is calculated? Yes, it is very simple. The total income of a country is divided by the total population. Simple. So let's take an example. Okay, if the total income of a country is 100 and total population is, let's suppose, 10. So Here we are getting a number as 10. So the per capita income is going to be rupees 10. So on an average, a citizen in that particular country is earning rupees 10. Guys, for the sake of convenience, I used a very simple number. So understand per capita income is the right criteria, or we can consider one of the criteria to compare the countries. All right. How per capita income is calculated? Total income of a country I'm sorry, total income of a country is divided by its total population. The number which you will get, that is the average income of a citizen in that country. All right, I hope you guys are getting it. Okay, great. Guys, this report is made by the World Bank, so you have to remember this. Now, guys, there are some limitations of averages. Now, there are some drawbacks. कुछ problems भी है averages की. Let's understand the drawbacks of the per capita income. Now, guys, while averages are useful for comparison, they also hide some disparities. Now, what is the issue? Let's understand. Guys, there are two countries which are given to you, country A and country B. Okay, in country A, we can see that there are 5 citizens which are living. Citizen 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In a similar way, country B also. Now, guys, if you sum up this part, you will come to know that the average income. Okay, how you will calculate the average income? The total of citizen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is coming to 50,000 rupees. Oh, all right. So if you divide it from 50, okay, my maths is very good, guys. So अभी हम क्या करेंगे? From next time onwards, I'm going to teach you guys maths as well. So हम क्या करेंगे? 50,000 will be divided by 5 and you will get 10,000 rupees. All right. In a similar way, if you look at country B, that is 48,004. So it is also coming 50,000. So if you divide 50,000 with 10, with 5, it will come once again 10,000. So guys, can we say that country A, the citizens of country A, the per capita income of country A is 10,000 rupees and the per capita income of country B is 10,000 rupees. But what is the limitation in this? Guys, look at the numbers. In country A, the average income is 10,000 rupees. But are we getting the insight of 10,000 rupees? What is the meaning of insight of the country? This is average. We are not aware if the people are earning more or less than this. If you look at country A, it is giving us the exact idea that citizen A is one is earning 9,500, the second one is earning 10,500, the third one is earning 9,800, so on and so forth. And average becomes 10,000. But look at country B, it has an average of 10,000. But one citizen is earning 48,000 rupees and the rest of the 4 citizens are earning only 500 rupees. But still the average is 10,000. So can you say this is the biggest drawback? Exactly. This is the biggest drawback. This is the biggest limitation of averages. It is hiding the disparities. Okay. So that is why, guys, income is not the only criteria we need to consider while comparing the countries. Okay. Like I said you about, I gave you the example of Shilpi ma'am and Ananya sir. In that example, you came to know that marks is not the only criteria we need to consider while comparing two students. In a similar way, there are other criteria we need to consider while comparing two countries. All right. Now, guys, based on the per capita income, countries are classified into three major groups: developed country, underdeveloped country, and developing countries. All right. Now, guys, which countries are known as developed, which countries are known as underdeveloped, which countries are known as developing countries on the basis of per capita income? Now, let me show you in the next slide. Now, guys, countries with per capita income. What is per capita income, beta? Per capita income means per person income, annual per person income. So, countries with per capita income of more than 12,056 US dollar according to 2017. So these numbers are according to the 2017. The number keeps on changing every year. Okay, guys, those countries are considered into rich countries. Matlab, if a country whose per capita income is more than 12,056 US dollars, those countries will be categorized into rich countries. On the other hand, if we talk about low income countries, countries with per capita income of less than $955, those countries are considered into low income countries. India belongs to low middle income countries. Matlab, we do not come under poor as well as we are not coming under rich. We are just above poor. So guys, according to 2017, the per capita income of Indians is 1820 per annum. That's it. So guys, if you multiply it with, let's say, 75 rupees, okay, I'm not aware about the value of dollar. Let's consider 75 rupees. So if you multiply it with 1820 into 75, you will get a number of 1,36,500. So on an average, a Indian citizen is roughly earning 1,36,000 in 1 year. That is the average income. We come about just poor country. We are just above poor countries. So my dear students, these number keeps on changing. In your NCRT, you might find some other numbers according to the data which is provided to you. If they have given you the data of 2011, then the number is going to be less. If the data is about 2018 or 19, then the number is going to be more. Okay. So as the year changes, the number also keeps on changing. So I hope you got the basic idea about how the countries are compared on the basis of income. All right. Great, guys. I hope you are able to understand. If yes, do not forget to hit the like button without any conjuicy and also subscribe to our channel. It is absolutely free. Now, guys, World Development Report. Okay, the this report of which countries comes under developed, underdeveloped, developing countries. It is prepared by the World Development Report. Let's understand the pros and cons of World Development Report. Now, if you look at the pros, it gives clear understanding of the income of a country. So we are getting a clear understanding like 1820 US dollar is the average income of Indians. So it is giving us a clear understanding of the income of a country. Second, it set specific parameters of comparison such as national income and per capita income. So we are understanding, we come to know about the national income of a country, we come to know about the average income of the citizens. So these are the pros, the positive sides of World Development Report. But if you look at the other side, if you look at the negative side, cons, it considers only income and not other aspects. Now, coming to the example of Ananya sir and Shilpi ma'am, when we were comparing two students, Ananya sir and Shilpi ma'am, and we wanted to give Student of the Year award, okay, either to Ananya sir or Shilpi ma'am. In that case, we were only considering marks as one of the parameter. But can I say marks is the only parameter we need to consider? We need to consider other parameters as well, like the attendance of the student, the behavior, the involvement into extracurricular activities. After considering all these things, we will give the child the Student of the Year award. Are you guys understanding? In a similar way, if you compare countries, guys, income is one such criteria, but it should not be the only criteria. If I tell you 1820 US dollar is the average income of Indians according to 2017, is it giving you any idea about the health status of the people? Is it giving you any idea about the literacy of Indians? Life expectancy of Indians? No. Exactly. So guys, World Development Report ka the very big disadvantage, it is not considering these factors which are very, very important. You guys understand? World Development Report only tells about income and not how it is distributed among the citizens. Guys, it is not showing us the distribution of income among the citizens. Guys, this is just given by the NCRT to you. These numbers are not given to the people. We only come to know that, one second. Yeah, we only come to know that 1820 US dollar is the average income of Indians. Is it telling you the distribution of income? How much Ananya sir is earning? How much Shilpi ma'am is earning? How much Maria ma'am is earning? How much Bhavna ma'am is earning? We are not getting this. Are you understanding? So it is not showing us the disparities. Like it is not showing us the distribution. Are you understanding, guys? I gave you many such examples. So, guys, concluding this, first of all, let me give Student of the Year award, and definitely, guys, the Student of the Year award, the Student of the Year award goes to Ananya sir. Thank you so much. Student of Year award goes to one and only Ananya sir. Thank you so much, guys. All right. Okay. So still she is very happy. Shilpi ma'am, look at her face. Still she is very happy. Thank you so much, Shilpi ma'am. Yeah. So guys, coming to this part, like World Development Report, ke, these are the pros and cons. I hope you guys are able to understand, my dear students. Yeah. So guys, if you want to enjoy such lectures, if you want to attend as many as lectures which I am conducting live on YouTube and also the recorded ones, guys, I would suggest you join Vedantu yaar. Okay? Because there are many advantages of joining Vedantu. Guys, I know you are able to understand each and everything, whatever is taught you on YouTube, but why? Still, I will tell you to join Vedantu, to enroll to a subscription. Why? Let me tell you about the advantages you have in Vedantu. First of all, guys, we are giving you a promise. Vedantu improvement promise. Now, what is that promise? Let me tell you. Before that, I want you to just listen for next 2 minutes the advantages you will get in Vedantu. First of all, in Vedantu, you guys can attend unlimited live classes. Yes, you have heard it right. Unlimited live classes. I'm not talking about recorded ones. You can attend unlimited live classes with all the high level quizzes. So you guys keep on saying your teachers on YouTube, sir, mentee, 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 mentee. Over there in every session of every subject, nearly 4 to 5 times quizzes are taken. Yes. So you can attend high level quizzes. And while doing so, while participating in these quizzes, you actually compete with the students throughout the world. Because students in Vedantu are from different states of India as well as from different countries. So just look at the competitions you have. Not only this, you can watch the replays. Now, what are replays, guys? If you miss out the session due to any reason, those are going to be interactive replays. Means while watching replays, you can participate in the quizzes. You can find your name in the leaderboard. So it is like a live session. Not only this, the problem of notes is also solved. So once you enroll to Vedantu, guys, you can also download all the handwritten notes by your master teachers. Notes ka bhi problem solved. In class doubt solving. Over here, are you guys able to ask me each and every doubt? It is very difficult for you to ask me all the doubts. But over there, guys, you can ask me doubts during the session. I will be there with you to solve your queries. Dedicated class teachers will be there to solve your queries. So guys, in-class doubt solving is a feature of Vedantu. Tests are taken, assignments are given to you. Not only this, you have an access to micro courses and crash courses which are going to be absolutely free for you. Do you know, guys, what are micro courses? Let's take an example. If you want to separately attend one more chapter, let's take an example. You attended development chapter, okay, in our long-term batches. And if you feel that you want to once again attend that chapter, and if you do not want to watch replays or recordings, so in that case, you can enroll to the micro course of development chapter, and that is going to be free for you, and that is going to be unlimited for all the subjects. Yes. So the students who actually pay for these micro courses and crash courses, it is going to be absolutely free for you. So just imagine, guys, you are getting more and more number of classes with lesser the price. It's very simple, guys, how you can enroll to our sessions. The link is there in the description box and it is also pinned in the comment section. So the very first comment you will find as our pro subscription link. Just click on that link. You will be redirected to our website. And if you want additional 10% discount on all our plans, so you can apply my coupon code as ADPRO. A for Ananya, D for Dutt. Okay, so you can apply my coupon code as ADPRO and give this code to all your friends. All right, guys, we have got various plans here. Like in every plan, you will find some extra advantages. Like in whatever benefits I said you, all those benefits are available in Pro Lite subscription. Acha, guys, one amazing thing is like you can try it for 1 month also. So if you feel that you want to try it for a month, try it for a month, take the experience, and this is my guarantee. You will be continuing with our long-term batches. All right, guys. Like, let me give you an example. If you try Pro Lite subscription for 1 month is 3,100. If you apply my coupon code as AD Pro, the price will come down to 2,790. Yes, so from 3,100 it came down to 2,790 for 1 month. Same goes for Pro Classic and Pro Lite Pro Plus subscription. guys, one advantage of added advantage of Pro Classic subscription is like over there you will be getting a doubts app. Now, what is doubts app, guys? Before the session or after the session also, you can ask the doubts. Okay, so other than during the session, you can clear your queries before and after the session also. So that is doubts app. So guys, we have got different plans altogether. Make sure that you guys are enrolling to our session. It is very simple, yeah. And end of the day, what I believe, guys, the fees which you are giving to Vedantu comes down to zero. Why? Guys, because when you pay fees to Vedantu, you are getting an access to unlimited micro courses. And if you divide any fees with n number of lectures, it is going to be zero. Now, guys, what promise we are giving you? What Vedantu is promising you, which no offline or no online institute will give you this promise. The promise is of improvement. Guys, we guarantee improvement. Yes, you have heard it right. We guarantee improvement. And if you feel that there has been no progress, we will return your fees back. अगर आपको लगता है आपकी इंप्रूवमेंट नहीं हुई एज पर योर एक्सपेक्टेशंस, आपने जो भी पैसे दिए वेदांतु को आपको पूरे मिल जाएंगे. And that is the assurance Vedantu is giving you. Guys, you will not get such kind of assurance in any of the institute except Vedantu. So guys, it is very simple to enroll to these sessions. Just we need a small commitment from your end. A mandatory 75% attendance for the student. A minimum of 75 completion on the assigned test. So the assigned tests which are given to you, minimum 75% should be completed. If you guys are giving us such commitment and in case the performance is not per as per your expectation, आप अच्छा अगर आपको लगता है कि as per your expectation you are not improving, then take your fees back. But guys, this is only applicable if you enroll to our long-term batches. All right. So guys, it is very simple. Our batches are already started and it is soon about to start. Like look at the batches, guys. 7th June, 21st June. So make sure that guys, I'm personally teaching in those batches. If you want to be a part of my batch, make sure that you guys enroll to these sessions. And one more thing, guys, it is not like if you and take the subscription, you can only attend SST classes. No, all the subjects are available. All right. So automatically you're enrolled to the other subjects as well. Chalo, let's move ahead, guys. As I told you about income is not the only criteria we need to consider. We need to consider other criteria as well. If you remember, the Student of the Year award is given to Ananya sir. Okay, the one who deserves this. All right, guys, jokes aside. So, guys, other than whenever we compare countries on the basis of income, we need to consider some other factors also. Let's consider other factors like infant mortality rate. Now, guys, seriously understand this part. What is infant mortality rate? It indicates the number of children that die before the age of 1 year as a proportion of 1000 live children born in that particular year. Let me give you one simple example. Let's say between 2019 and 2020, 1000 babies were born, and out of 1000 babies, 30 babies died within 1 year due to any reason. Let's not consider the reason, but if 1000 babies were born between 2019 and 20, and out of 1000, if 30 babies die before the completion of 1 year, so this is infant mortality rate. Guys, our target is to make this number into zero. The lesser the number of infant mortality rate is, the more the developed area is. So now guys, understand the per capita income. When we compare two countries on the basis of income, did we got the idea of infant mortality rate? What is the health status of the people? What is the educational status of the people? No. I hope now you guys are able to understand why it is important to compare other or to consider other factors as well. All right. Good one. So guys, this is infant mortality rate. This is just an example I gave you. All right. The next one we need to consider is literacy rate. Any person who can read and write above the age of 7 in any one of the language, that person is referred to be as a literate person. I repeat, any person who can read and write above the age of 7, that person is considered or categorized into as a literate person. Simple as that. Next, acha, let me give you one example. Guys, according to 2000, according to 2011, the literacy of India is close to 72.2%. Matlab 72.2% is the literacy of India. So if you consider the new numbers like census according to 2021, then definitely the number is going to be more. Okay, this is just an example I am giving you so that you understand this topic better. All right, chalo, great. Guys, please hit the like button. All right, and also subscribe to our channel. It is absolutely free. So guys, we have got Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan means education, sab padhenge, sab badhenge. Okay, education for all. Education should not be only confined till boys or men. It should be equally spread or given to women or girls as well. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. All right. Now, guys, here we let's come to the next parameter we need to consider other than income, that is net attendance ratio. Guys, what does net attendance ratio gives us an idea? First, I will read this explanation and then I will explain you in a very simple words. It is the total number of children of the age group between 14 to 15 years attending school as a percentage of the total number of children in the same age group. Let's take an example. If I tell you the net attendance ratio of Haryana state is 61. So what does 61 represents? Out of 100 children between the age group of 14 to 15, only 61 children are attending the school. Are you guys understanding? What is 61? Out of 100 children in the category between 14 to 15, only 61 students are, or only 61 children are attending the school. So that is net attendance ratio. So more the number is, the better the development of that area is. The number of infant mortality should be less and the number of net attendance ratio should be more, it should be high. All right, great. Now guys, let's compare three states. You will understand better when we compare states, not only based on the basis of income, but when we consider other criteria also, what can be concluded from it. Let's understand. Now, guys, there are three states which are given to you, Haryana, Kerala, and Bihar. Okay. Haryana is from north of India, Kerala is from south of India, and Bihar is again from north of India. Now, guys, first we are going to compare these three states on the basis of per capita income. Now, guys, look at the numbers which are given to you. Which state out of these three has got a better per capita income? Yes, exactly right. It is Haryana. Look at the per capita income of Haryana. It is 1,80,174. Kerala it is 1,63,475, and Bihar has a very less per capita income of just 34,409 rupees. So guys, in this we can conclude that if we compare these three states, Haryana is better than Kerala and Bihar. Absolutely right. But as I told you, income is not the only criteria. Just look at this, the criteria of income, and try to understand. Are you able to understand what is the health status of the people by looking at the per capita income, or what is the infant mortality rate, or what is the net attendance ratio of the students? No. So guys, we need to consider other parameters as well. All right. So let's compare these three states on other parameters. All right. Now, if we consider these three states by infant mortality rate, guys, according to 2017, the infant mortality rate of Haryana was 30. Means out of 1,000 children who were born, the babies who were born in 2017, 30 died within 1 year. And that is the infant mortality rate of Haryana. Look at Kerala, it is just 10. And look at Bihar, it is 35. Are you guys able to understand what I mean to say? The per capita income of Kerala was less as compared to Haryana, but the infant mortality rate of Kerala is far more better as compared to Haryana and Bihar. Are you guys understanding what I'm trying to say? Now, guys, again, let me repeat one thing which I said you earlier in this session. The numbers may vary according to your NCRT, because it might be that if your NCRT is not updated, if you have the old number, like if the numbers are of 2011 or 2012, then definitely the numbers will vary. All right. I'm giving the data according to 2017, 11, 2013 and 14. Accordingly, it is given over there. All right. Now, coming to the literacy rate. Okay, what is the literacy rate? A person who can read and write above the age of 7. That person is referred to be as a literate person in India. Now, according to 2011, if you look at the literacy rate of Haryana, it is 82. Great. Kerala, it is 94. And Bihar, it is just 62. Again, coming to this part, let's add one more star on Kerala. So, again, Kerala wins over Haryana and Bihar in terms of literacy rate. The per capita income of Kerala was less than Haryana, but the infant mortality rate is better and literacy rate is very good. Coming to net attendance ratio. So guys, in the age group between 14 to 15 years of age, according to 2013 and 14, the net attendance ratio of Haryana was just 61, means out of 100 students between the age group of 14 and 15, only 61 children were attending the school, and in Kerala it was 83, and in Bihar it was just 43. Again, let's add one more star on Kerala. So coming to the conclusion, what I'm trying to say, income is not the only criteria we need to consider. We need to consider the other aspects as well while comparing the countries, while comparing two regions. Now I hope you guys are able to understand. All right? Superb, superb. So guys, government tries its level best to give some public facilities to the people. Why public facilities are given to you? Like, let's take an example, primary health centers, then recreational centers like malls, then transportation services, communication services. Why all these things are given to the people? So that overall development of the people takes place. All right, lots and lots of facilities are provided by the government, guys, to so that the citizens can develop, okay, in terms of education, in terms of per capita income, in terms of everything. All right, and when the citizens of the country improves, the country grows, and that is what is known as national development or nation's development. All right, so guys, government will provide the public facilities. Certain sections of the society cannot afford the basic facilities. Now guys, certain sections of the society cannot afford the basic facilities, like for example, the people who comes under below poverty line. The people who comes under below poverty line, guys, it is very difficult for them to afford the basic facilities like food, clothing, and basic facilities, guys, which a person needs to survive, to live. So guys, what government does? Government helps them through the public distribution system, PDS system. So guys, through PDS system, these people who are included in below poverty line, they are getting food at a very lesser rate. Like, let's take an example. If I'm getting 1 kg rice for, let's say, 50 rupees per kg, in a similar way, the people who comes under below poverty line, they will get at 15 rupees per kg. That is just an example I'm trying to say, because they cannot afford for 50 rupees per kg. So it will be provided by the government at a lesser rate so that they can afford and they can improve their health. All right. Great. Sometimes even if one has sufficient income, he or she cannot avail the certain facilities. For example, pollution-free environment. Let's take an example, guys. We have sufficient money. We can afford food. We can afford everything. But can you say we can afford pollution-free environment? No. From this, what can we conclude? Money in your pocket cannot buy you anything. Cannot buy you everything. Are you understanding? Money in your pocket cannot buy everything you need to live. गैस सारी चीजें पैसे से नहीं चलती है, पैसे के अलावा भी हमें काफी अलग चीजों का ध्यान रखना पड़ता है. सो मनी इन योर पॉकेट cannot buy everything you need, like for example pollution free environment. No, it is not possible. All right. So guys, there are many services like education, health, transportation, etc., which have become cheap and affordable if provided collectively. So guys, simple as that, all these facilities are provided by the government so that the lifestyle, the standard of the living of the people improves. All right. Now, guys, coming to the next one, what is BMI? I will tell you guys what is BMI. If you guys remember in the very first session of mine, that is in the introductory video, I explained you about what is BMI. So let me explain you once again. And today in this video, I will give you a detailed explanation about how BMI is calculated with one example. Okay. So body mass index is a scale which measures the body fat based on the height and weight of a person. So height and weight of a person is taken into consideration to calculate body mass index, that is BMI. Guys, with the help of BMI, we can conclude that if a person is underweight, overweight, or if it is idle. Okay, how it is calculated now, let me tell you. Guys, generally the BMI should be between 18.5 to 25. If it is less than 18.5, then the person is underweight. If it is more than 25, then the person is overweight. So it should be between 18.5 and 25. How it is calculated, guys? Guys, weight of a person in kg is taken into consideration and it is divided by height in meter square. Confusion? Okay, let me tell you. Let me give you one example. Let's say my weight is 68 kgs, and yes, my weight is 68, and my height in meters is 1.7 meters, that is 2.89. Yeah, that is 2.89. So guys, when I divide my weight in kg with height in meter the square, I will get the number as, yeah, 23.5. Guys, this is my BMI. In a similar way, you can calculate your BMI as well. And I will tell Shilpi ma'am to calculate her BMI as well. All right. So guys, this is what my BMI is, body mass index. So I come between 18.5 and 25. So I come under the ideal category, which should be. All right. So this is just an example I gave you. And guys, one more thing. I want you guys to calculate your BMI and let me know in the comment section. Okay. It will be fun. So I want you guys to calculate your BMI. Do let me know in the comment section. All right. Next, Human Development Report. Now, guys, what is HDI? Now, guys, this is something which is developed by UNDP, United Nations Developmental Program. Guys, HDI takes into consideration three parameters. Like, if you remember, the parameter which was taken into consideration by World Bank was only average income. But average income is not the only criteria we need to compare while comparing two countries. So we need to consider some other criteria also before we compare two different countries. All right. So HDI is one such report which is developed by UNDP. Guys, this particular organization takes into consideration three parameters. Which are the three parameters? Let me tell you. Health, education, and life expectancy. I repeat. Uh, Health comes under life expectancy. Health, income, and life expectancy. All right. So let me make a note of this. Wait, guys. There is no space. Okay. So, guys, we need to consider that health, or else I will be confused. Health, then income, and life expectancy, education. Okay. So, guys, this is final. These are the three parameters which are taken into consideration: health of the people, income of the people, and educational level of the people. Guys, by considering three parameters, HDI report is made. And do you know India ranks 130th in the world? Yes, और इस पर आपको proud नहीं होना चाहिए. You should not be proud of this number. We are 130th in the world. Means there are 129 countries which are better than India in terms of health, income, and education. Yes. Guys, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section which country ranks first in the world in terms of HDI. Acha, let me tell you guys about our neighboring nations. I've got an entire list with me. Sri Lanka ranks 76th in the world. India ranks 130th in the world. And Myanmar 148, Pakistan 150, Nepal 149, and Bangladesh 136. So if we compare countries based on these three parameters, health, income, and education, we are 130th in the world. All right. So I want you guys to find out which country ranks first in the world in terms of HDI. Okay. Guys, this is going to be something extra homework for you guys. All right. But some homework questions I will be giving you at the end of the session also. Make sure that you guys are letting me know in the comment section. Now, guys, the last part, sustainability of development. Guys, in resources and development, we already saw this topic of what is sustainable development. Guys, development in the present should not compromise with the needs of the future generation, and at the same time, we should also protect our environment. We should keep in mind that our environment is not harmed in this process. So in present, we have to do development, but it should not compromise for the needs of the future generation. Okay. And at the same time, while doing so, we need to keep in mind that our environment is also protected. That concept is known as sustainability of development. All right. So guys, यहाँ पे एक example दिया हुआ है ground water in India. Depletion of groundwater resources in Punjab due to agricultural activities. West Uttar Pradesh, hard rock plateau of Central and South India is extreme, guys, and that is due to over irrigation. Around 40% decline in groundwater sources scaled. So that's a very scary number. Example two of exhaustion of natural resources. You guys are already aware, guys. Today, as the population is increasing, so the demand is also increasing. As the demand is increasing, we are more exploiting the resources. Now, what is the meaning of exploiting? We are more making use of these resources. In which, what we are doing? One number is given to you. According to World Energy Review, June 2018, the total reserves of crude oil stock in the world is going to last just 50 years. Yes. So the way we are using the resources, specifically the crude oil, that is just an example it is given to you. It will last only for next 50 years. So guys, understand the seriousness of this topic. I hope guys everything was clear to you guys. If you have any doubt guys, one more thing, make sure that you guys are letting me know in the comment section, because I will be taking a special doubt plus menti session. In that, whatever doubts you guys will tell me in the comment section, those doubts will be considered and I will come up with the solution in that session. All right. So guys, that is what we saw in today's session about national development, how to compare different countries or states. There are other criteria. There are many criteria we need to consider. We saw income and other criteria like body mass index, take infant mortality rate, so on and so forth. ठीक है, public facilities are provided for the overall development of the people, then sustainability of the development. So guys, these are the topics which we saw in today's session. I hope guys you understood each and everything. If yes, do let me know in the comment section and do not forget to hit the like button. Coming to the homework question, make sure that you guys are giving me the answer in the comment section. So the first question on your screen, HDI stands for Human Development Index. That focuses on what? Four options are given to you. It focuses on life expectancy, gross enrollment ratio for 3 level of schooling, national income, or is it all of the options? So HDS stands for Human Development Index. That focuses on which parameters? The next question on your screen. Per capita income is also known as dash. Marginal income, average income, income distribution parameter, or is it the total income? Alright guys, so these are the two questions for homework. Make sure that you guys are giving me the answer in the comment section. And guys, if you are not a part of my long-term batches, make sure that you guys are enrolling to these sessions. At least try it for a month and use my coupon code as ADPRO to get additional 10% discount. Alright, thank you so much students for being there with me throughout the session. I hope you had a great time. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Till then, take very, very good care of yourself. Bye-bye. Take care.